All right, so let's go ahead and set up the controllers to work with the current joints, the arm joints. Okay. um, so we're going to start off with the FK control joints. So the clavicle, shoulder, elbow, and wrist. And then after that, we're going to do uh, IK handle from shoulder to wrist, and then that is going to be controlled by the IK wrist controller. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and kind of set this up here. First thing I want to do is we're going to go and take the clavicle, left clavicle con offset group and the right clavicle con offset group. And I'm going to actually just rename these two groups right arm con group, right arm FK con group. And then I'm going to go to this one. This one's going to be left FK con group. Okay. I'm going to take both of these, group them together, and then this is going to get put under the top spine control joint. So this is going to be called FK uh, arm con group. Okay. I'm going to take that. I'm going to go and do a center pivot so I can get it up where I can see it. And then that's actually going to go right here on the center chest joint. So DV, snap it right there. So that means when everything moves, it all stays together in position. Otherwise, if that pivot point was offset, we could possibly get the controllers moving away from their respective joints, which we don't want. We want them to stay with those joints. Okay, we need to put this group and nest it under the top spine top or spine con top right here. Okay, so this is going to be FK arm group, FK arm con group. So that's the child, and then we want to nest it under its new parent, which is going to be right here. Okay, so I'm going to go and grab child, parent, and hit P, and then if we look, you'll see spine con top. The child of that is neck con base, and then also it has another child, which is that group right here. Okay, so that means that that'll follow along. All right, let's go ahead and start getting these guys attached. I'm actually going to attach these to their respective joints. So what I'm going to use is orient constraints. So I'm going to do left clavicon, and that's going to orient constrain to the left clav joint. Okay. Remember, we're using constraints. It's parent child selection order. Okay. So do rigging, constrain, orient, maintain offsets turned on, and then we're going to click apply. Okay. Now this one, if you just try to click, you're not entirely sure you're going to get the right one. And this time I did. It was the left FK shoulder joint, which is great. But just to be sure, let's go ahead and move and open up this joint chain. And then also I'm going to go ahead and open up, not joint chain, that was a controller chain. Let's go and open up this right here. Okay. So I'm going to do controller, FK shoulder joint. Then we're going to go to constrain, orient. We'll do the same thing again. Grab elbow, FK elbow, left, constrain, orient. Wrist, FK wrist. And then I'm going to grab the left FK wrist joint, constrain, orient. Okay. Again, remember I named these, so I'm matching the names here. FK con to FK wrist joint. FK elbow con to FK elbow joint. So we're just matching these up. If we go through and check, if I lift that up, you'll see that we now have this all nice and together. And it's actually moving, which is good. And then because of that orient constraint that we put on between the FK and IK joints to the skinning joint, it's making the skinning joint basically follow a 1/2 movement. Let's test the clavicle. Clavicle works. Okay. Let's go ahead and grab this one. So parent, child, and then we'll do constrain, orient, and then parent, and then that's going to be, let's make sure we got this right. FK right here. Right, FK. G for orient. So right here. G for orient. This one right here. And that's going to go over to the FK wrist. I'm clicking or holding control when I click. Shift is just going to select everything in between. We just want to do control. G, and that's going to do that. So let's test it. It's easier for you to test every once in a while you're going down the road, just after every couple steps. Make sure it's working rather than follow everything I do and then test it and not know where you messed up. Okay, it's much easier to do it at this point. All right, I want to go to skeleton. We're going to add our IK handle right here. So I'm going to go to, actually we can just do the right, so I got right IK, yeah, right here. So I'm going to go and do create IK handle. Now we want this to have a direction. We want the elbow to be able to tell the elbow joint where to go. So instead of a single chain solver, I want to rotate plane solver. Think of it as this way. Rotate plane solver means it's going to rotate the direction of the arm, okay? So rotate plane solver. All right, I'm going to go from right IK shoulder, control, right IK wrist. Boom. See that? We're going to do it one more time. So we're going to do left IK shoulder, left IK wrist. Boom. You see that? All right. Double check. See how it's picking up everything? So we're good. Now, how do we get this, not this, how do we get this controller, the left IK wrist con, to control the IK handle? Pretty easy. We're going to actually grab the left IK wrist con. We're going to go ahead and shift click on the IK handle. And actually, let's rename the IK handle real quick. We're going to call it left IK arm handle. Left IK arm handle. Okay. So we're going to grab this one, and we're going to do a point constraint, okay? Because it's just going to control where the translation is. Okay, and let me illustrate why this matters. I can pick up and move this IK handle. That controls that joint chain. Here's the thing. If I try to rotate it, it'll rotate, but it doesn't do anything. So IK handles really only control the position of a joint, not necessarily the rotation of a joint. Okay? So I'm going to have to double this up with another constraint. And so if you think back which one controls rotation, we have two of those. One of them's aim and the other one's orient. We're going to go with orient, okay? So also I need a constraint that's going to control only position. That's going to be point. So again, grab your controller, grab your handle, go to constrain, go to point, maintain offset, click add. So now if I click and move this, you see, it'll rotate that around, which is great. Now to finish that up, we're going to go to left IK wrist joint. So that's where we need to work. I'm going to go and take this controller, IK wrist con, and then control click left IK wrist joint, and that's going to get us the orient constraint. Okay, so now when I lift that joint, or lift that handle, lift that controller, is going to move that arm. And then more importantly, or just as importantly, when I rotate the controller, it's going to rotate the hand. Okay, so that's important. We need both of those. Otherwise, we can lift the arm, but we can't rotate the wrist. And it's important that we're doing it on the IK wrist joint, because we need to be able to switch control back and forth. All right, and that IK wrist joint is sharing a orient constraint between the IK and FK wrist joints that go to the skinning joint. That's their shared custody child. Excuse me. So again, quickly, handle, wrist. I'm going to rename this real quick. That's going to be right IK handle. All right, so we're going to grab parent, child, point, and then parent, child. So it's going to be right IK wrist, right IK wrist. That's good. You need to make sure it says it. If it doesn't say it, or it doesn't have it selected, then we didn't select the right one, because it may end up grabbing like, the skinning wrist joint, which we don't want. So we want to make sure we get the IK wrist. So go here, look, IK wrist joint, orient, boom. Test this. Looks good. Looks good. Okay. Cool. Save it. All right. Then I'm going to go ahead and grab the right elbow IK con. I'm going to grab the handle. And then I'm going to go to constrain pull vector. Okay. Click add. It's going to shift it a little bit. It's okay. It's still functional. Okay. Pull vector. Okay. So I want to make sure it works. Okay. All right. The reason why it's shifted a little bit is because of the direction of the joint. If you look at it, the direction of the joint chain, the bow direction, actually goes down a little bit. And so you'll see it lines up once we get that plane. Right about there. We might be able to freeze our transforms when we hit that place, just so when we shift back and forth, it doesn't shift the arm. So that might be worth doing. Okay, that's pretty close. So I'm just shifting this down just so we can, just so when it shifts back and forth, it doesn't like cock the arm up or anything like that. It's not, honestly, it's not a huge problem really, but it can be annoyance. Okay, so we both got both the arms, IK and FK system set up. Let's go ahead and attach the IK FK switch. I'm going to set that to the null joint. Okay, so we need this to follow the null joint. So I'm going to actually grab the null joint in the center of the hand. That's going to be the parent. And that is going to be a parent constraint to this, this controller, okay? Maintain offset, add, there you go. So now whenever we move the arm, it's going to move the controller with it, which is good. All right, null joint. And this is the skinning null joint on the hand. This is not on the IK or FK. Okay, so null joint, hand, parent. Test it. Okay, looks good. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and stop here. And then we're going to come back and do the switch.